Hello, everyone. It's so nice to see all of you here for this forest management session. So we are going to start our session. We have 4 great talks in this session. So first, I would like to invite all our 4 speakers to sit in front based on your name tag there. So it's just easier for later if we have questions. They can just directly use the microphone there to answer your question. So we have, this morning, we have Anderson Ruhoff as the first speaker, and AJ Purdy, Devendra Matia, and Micah Elias, 4 of them. Okay, so really excited for this session. And for the first, we will have Anderson Ruhoff from Brazil to give us the first talk. And Anderson Ruhoff is a professor in hydrometeorology and remote sensing at the Institute of Hydraulic Research from the University of Rio Grande do Sul in Porto Alegre, located in southern Brazil. His research interests lie in the field of remote sensing and land surface interactions, specifically to monitor the impacts of cropland expansion and tropical deforestation on the terrestrial water cycle. So with this, I'm going to have Anderson Ruhoff here to give you the first talk.
Good morning. So my name is Anderson. I am a professor in Brazil. And today I want to talk a little bit about the effects of deforestation on evapotranspiration in the Amazon. And basically, we see a lot of research happening now in the last couple of years and some decades in South America related to the effects of tropical deforestation on climate, water resources, especially related to deforestation and cropland expansion in South America, in the tropics. And basically what happens is that when we change land cover and change the forest by pasture or cropland, we see changes in the surface energy balance and the water cycle. And basically, we can, for instance, reduce precipitation, reduce evapotranspiration, and increase runoff. And since this is a large-scale process, it can affect large areas. Large areas in South America, not only in the tropical Amazon, but also in distant areas as Argentina, Uruguay, Brazil, Paraguay, and many other countries in South America. Well, basically, the mechanism that redistributes precipitation in South America is called like a recycling cascading process, and then you see like a moisturing entering from North Atlantic into the Amazon, and what the forest does is like recycles this precipitation and distributes it over central Brazil and south of South America. And when we change land cover, what we see is that this cascading process is getting weaker and slower. So basically, with deforestation, we have less water vapor in the atmosphere that will produce less rainfall downwind. It can affect large areas, large cities. It can affect large cropland areas as well. So we need to understand more what will be the impact of deforestation in water availability, and how society and economy of South America will be affected with these situations. So basically, this is an illustration of what happens with the precipitation regime in South America, and you see that that areas, the trade winds entering the Amazon, and because of the Andes, the mountain that separates, I would say, South America from the Pacific Ocean. So the moisture is distributed over South America, over central South America, and regulating precipitation seasonality and the volume of precipitation in these areas. And even if you think, well, South America has a lot of water available, and still large areas in South America have a dry season. So you can see, like in the graphics there, that some areas have a very strong seasonality, like in central Brazil, northeast of Brazil, and some parts of south of Brazil as well. So making like the recycling process weaker and slower, we can like make the dry season longer and the dry season drier, and that will affect, for instance, cropland production, energy production, because of in Brazil, especially like hydropower. It dominates the energy production system, and with less precipitation during the dry season can have massive effects in South American society and economy. So our question was, so how happens when we clear some areas, when we replace forest by pasture or cropland? And basically the surface energy balance will change rapidly and in large magnitudes, I would say. And basically what we see in these graphics here is like ET and latent heat reduces drastically, and sensible heat increases. So it means like we have more heat, so the air temperature increases rapidly as well, and we have less water availability in atmosphere. So this is these results are from eddy covariance measurements in this very specific area in the middle of the Amazon, and we can see like changes in precipitation, changes in evaporative fraction, changes in ET, and these impacts are stronger during the dry season, and the dry season will be certainly affected. But the question is, so we can measure using eddy covariance measurements, but what is happening if we look to regional scales? So with a flux tower, we can understand what is happening in 1 square kilometer or 1 square mile, but what is happening in 1 million square kilometers? So what is happening with the energy balance? So that's the reason we run evapotranspiration model, the model we use, GEE-Siebel, in the Amazon arc of deforestation. This area is like a large area that has high rates of deforestation. And from 1985 to 1980s to the current period, we saw a lot of deforestation in this area, and definitively the energy balance is changing there. And to understand the sensitivity of our model, we basically did some calibration and validation of the model, and basically so we can see results like for validation for over forest, pasture, and cropland. And what we can see is that our model, GE-Siebel model, in high resolution performs very well to get like the differences between forest, pasture, and cropland. And if you look at these images, you will see how much ET is changing. So the green areas are forest areas and very high rates of ET. And if you look to the yellow areas, it's basically cropland and pasture, and with a very low evapotranspiration rate. So basically we performed some assessments in South America as well using eddy covariance measurements, and the accuracy for OpenET, or I would say not for OpenET, but for GE-Siebel in Brazil is quite similar to the US, and we found like accuracy around an error around 1 millimeter per day. That's really good, and and very good estimates for forest areas and human-induced areas as well. And so why running ET models from the OpenET is important? Because so like GCable and other OpenET models, like they don't need so much parameterization. So we don't need to know what is in the land cover, if it's crop, if it's forest, if it's pasture. So basically, due to the thermal contrast, we can understand what is happening in the land processes. And then even, so if there is a change, like deforestation or cropland expansion or intensification, the OpenET models will see that, and we can quantify that impact. And if we run like OpenET for the whole arc of deforestation, what we found was like the large areas that you see in red is basically deforestation. And around a little bit less than 1 million square kilometers. It's a huge area, it's a large scale process. And you see that's red, so basically the trend in evapotranspiration in the last 3 decades is negative, which means that it is reducing drastically in these areas. On the contrary, it's quite interesting because you see like in the light blue areas, it's forest. And we can see like a very slight trend of increase of evapotranspiration, probably because so the atmosphere is warmer, the atmosphere is drier, and while there is water available for the forest transpirate, and then it can sustain high rates of evapotranspiration, and it can I would say keep high rates for the whole area. Exactly. So if we look to the average of this area, so there is no trend. That means that the deforestation rates are compensated by the high rates of ET in the forest. But we can see, so we still can understand that, well, if we keep high rates of deforestation, probably this compensation mechanism will change, and then probably the dry season will get longer and stronger, and so making that recycling process weaker and slower as well. So with OpenET, we can understand what is happening when deforestation happens, and what is happening in evapotranspiration in this process. And this is an area with a cropland expansion in the middle of the Amazon, and then basically you can see like the green areas are forest, and the yellow and orange areas, it's basically deforestation for cropland expansion, pasture, and then you can see like the difference between green and red is 5 millimeters per day, and then you can understand how much ET is reducing in deforested areas. And then now imagine this happening in 1 million square kilometers. And the effects will probably will be massive. So basically, when we change land cover with deforestation in the tropics, basically we change sensible heat and we change latent heat. Basically, latent heat reduces drastically, and the heat increases rapidly. So if you look to the first graphic I showed you, like air temperature, it can like increase 4 or 5 degrees a day. That's the impact of deforestation, and basically, so we can see a little bit more results, high resolution results, and basically. Deforestation decreased ET rates around 41% when compared to primary forest, and that's a lot. And yeah, and when there is like a cropland intensification, and like the farmers change from pasture to soybean production, again it reduces another 12% the ET rates, and this is a large scale process. That will affect the moisture recycling in the Amazon. Yeah. On the other hand, so rates increased by around 11% in primary forest or preserved forest. So if we can preserve the forest, we can keep high rates of evapotranspiration that can sustain precipitation in South America, so making water available for energy production, for energy or for human use, for cropland. It will be beneficial for the whole society in South America. And something that we also saw is that secondary forests have a very important role, because some areas are after some years of cropland, so they are abandoned. And it's very important to preserve secondary forest as well, because after a couple of years, ET will increase again, and probably after 10 years, ET rates will be quite similar to the original forests. And if we think about the carbon absorption as well by this forest, in the same time, like they are growing, releasing water, they are also absorbing a lot of carbon. So secondary forests have an important role on energy balance and evapotranspiration and carbon uptake from the atmosphere. So we observed some trends, basically in the whole Amazon arc of deforestation, and basically the first graphic is ET, and then you can see over forest areas, so ET is increasing, and that's the reason there's a strong argument to preserve the forest, because it will produce more water for precipitation downwind affecting large areas. And that's why ET is increasing in these areas, because so we can see that the vegetation is getting greener as well. So we can see if we look to the forest greenness, we see an increased trend. Increase in leaf area forest, but what is sustaining high rates of evapotranspiration and increase in evapotranspiration is a hotter atmosphere and a drier atmosphere. So in the tropics, so the atmosphere is drier, so while the Amazon has water to use, it will sustain high rates of evapotranspiration. And basically, so the variables that we are seeing here can explain the increase of evapotranspiration in the Amazon forest. So, and with OpenET, our goal is to run the OpenET models in South America and produce high resolution data sets to increase, to improve our understanding of what will happen with deforestation, not only in the Amazon arc of deforestation, but in large areas in South America, as what will be the impact in central Brazil, how it will affect cropland production, how it will affect reservoir evaporation, water availability in large cities. And so with OpenET, we can produce multi-scale, large-scale, I would say, ET rates to understand at very specific, in a very high resolution locals, that we can understand what is happening in South America. So the goal is a little bit different, but still important, because we're still looking at a very important cropland production area. A lot of people that will be affected by climate change, and not only climate change is important, but we have to manage land cover changes as well to mitigate and to reduce the impacts of climate change and deforestation in South America. So, and running OpenET in Brazil, so we can advance to simulate surface energy fluxes at unprecedented detail. So we can see at 30 meters for 40 years. And then we can understand exactly what will be the trend, what will be the consequences for wildfire that are happening in South America right now, even in the wet season. And so we can improve our understanding of land surface interactions. So my final message is, so deforestation reduce ET rates in large areas in South America, but the forest as it is now still can keep high ET rates that probably is sustaining precipitation volumes and seasonality in South America, but we need to advance in understanding the moisture recycling process, what will be the effect on precipitation at the dry season length and water availability in South America. Well, this is what I have today for presentation, and this OpenET is so important for us, and I believe we can make a very good use of OpenET data for deforestation and water availability in South America. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you very much. I think any questions for Anderson? We do have questions. Yep.
Yeah, I got a question about you show a slight increase of air temperature in forest area.
Yeah.
Is that because of global warming? I see the VPD also increased.
Yeah.
So is that because of global warming everywhere is an increase?
Yeah.
So are you attributing that to deforestation as well? Because you were saying cropland, deforestation affecting local temperature, and then there's more sensible heat going to the nearby.
Yeah, probably is a combination of both, because of the climate change, increase in temperatures. We see that there, I think it's like 1 or 2 degrees in the last 35 years. But if you look, for instance, to this area, you can see like at local scale with deforestation. So on average, so the increase in air temperature can be like maybe 5 degrees. That's the impact of sensible heat. So basically because the forest uses so much energy to evaporate water, so there is less energy for heating the atmosphere. But when you change, like when you clear the area, so there is no more like water to evaporate because the cropland and pasture roots are shallow, and so basically no access to deep water. And basically what is the most important factor there is sensible heat. And so you reduce latent heat and increase sensible heat. And on average, it can be like maybe 4 to 5 degrees at local scale. So in local scale, we can have one kind of impact, and we look at the regional scale, it can be a little bit different, probably because the forest is still sustaining high rates of ET, and then it compensates a little bit.
For region, how do you prove it, right? Those are all based on modeling. Do you have evidence, certain area of precipitation, actually, change?
Yeah. What the current research is showing us now that the dry season is getting longer, and is a matter of, I would say for now, is a matter of maybe days or weeks. But if deforestation continues, it may like from weeks to months, and then maybe so.
Without deforestation, it can also change, right? Precipitation change.
Yeah.
See, other regions they do not change. It's not the deforestation; they still change the.
You are right. So there is a lot of influence because of the oceans, like the North Atlantic, the Pacific. They influence a lot what is happening there, and that's one reason. So this is not definitive. This is just conclusions made by using high-resolution ET data sets. And so then we can measure or understand how much sensible and latent heat are changing. But definitively, we need more research to understand the the impact, the combined impact between climate change, climate variability, the impacts of the ocean, because if you see here, it's a cascading process. It's not only related what is happening in the Amazon, but the oceans have a very strong influence, and certainly we need more research to understand the impacts on the cascading process. What we are showing here is not I would say conclusions related to the cascading process, but just changes in surface fluxes. And surface fluxes are definitively changing, and changing ET rates and the warming of the atmosphere in the Amazon.
And another question?
Gabe?
Is there an understanding that for now it's stable, or at what point do you think that there will become instability? Because it seems like everything's compensating. So in theory, it could be the process or the pumping model of the Amazon can still be working.
So just creating like a linear regression with our data, we can say that it will change around 50 and 60% of around 50% of deforestation. So maintaining everything as it is now, around 50% of the deforested area would change that trend, and so the lower ET rates from cropland areas would dominate the signal. But it's not straightforward, because as I was talking, we need like to understand what's the role of the ocean, what's the role of climate variability, and it's difficult to say that. But some research are indicated that a tipping point will be between or around 60% or 40% of deforestation, something like that. And then, for instance, so with the tipping point, we could like, change from a tropical rainforest to a savanna area, and that would be the impact. So water availability would like move like from a 9-month rainy season to a 6-month dry season, and it would affect drastically the water availability in South America.
And it would be sudden, relatively sudden.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.